Hello, good morning, everyone. I want to welcome today Maria Caines, who is my guest for our live series of webinar about the opportunities and challenges of going digital in 2021. Maria, thank you so much for being here with me. I am really thrilled and I really appreciate your time. Why don't I give you the first 2 minutes to introduce yourself to our audience? And then we'll dive directly into the topic.
Well, thank you, Mark, and thanks for having me today. It's a great opportunity to talk with local businesses and owners about the value. And just a little bit about me. So first of all, Maria Caines, and Bay Street to Main Street Consulting is my business, where I promote loyalty marketing for locally owned businesses. And one of the things that has led me to this is, well, first of all, I was born and brought up here in Nova Scotia, and my dad was a teacher, so we were always mindful of frugality and taking every opportunity to get a good deal. And that led me early on to begin collecting things like Canadian Tire money and things, you know, even as a child, right? My grandfather would come, "Oh, Grampy, do you have any Canadian Tire money for me today?" You know, and later, as a teenager, I really valued the boutiques and the local businesses in my town instead of going to the big department stores.
Yeah.
So that, combined with working for a locally owned custom picture framing business for about 25 years, and realizing their struggles in competing with some of the big box names that came into town, all combined together to help me realize that local businesses need to consider loyalty marketing as a proven way to grow business.
Wow.
And so that's what we talk about every day.
That's amazing. And this is how you really dived into dove into the loyalty marketing and trying to help small businesses grow as well, right?
Exactly.
That
Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. That's what the business name means.
Yeah.
I don't believe that the power of our economy is on Bay Street in Toronto. I believe that it's on Main Street in every town and village all through Canada.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So, Maria, I am really eager to start the discussion, and I am sure our audience as well. But first, I want to thank, as always, our sponsors and partners. So we have our platinum sponsor, Agora Office Space. This is from where I am broadcasting live here from Bedford in Nova Scotia. And our strategic partner, which is the Chartered Institute of Marketing Management of Ontario, which I am a proud member of, and actually I am on the management team as their chief strategy officer as well. So we're trying to bridge knowledge across provinces, and this is also one of the major, I would say, achievement which we're doing as well. So Maria, let's dive directly, I think, and this is the most important thing. What is loyalty marketing? Let's start with the definition before we talk about technicalities and how small businesses can benefit from it.
Absolutely. So loyalty marketing is getting to know your customer better, learning more about them so that you can provide them with information that they're looking for about your business. And I like to combine, well, that's marketing, right? That's the messaging of a business. Loyalty marketing adds a rewards component so that we can reward people whenever they support a business. The other interesting piece is that for all of the marketing experts out there who tell their clients that they want to, you know, build an email list.
Yeah.
Then offering loyalty rewards is a surefire way to get people to sign up faster, right? Okay. So it's that combination. It's messaging, and a thank you to your customer when they support your business.
Okay. So let me just ask you a question, and because I know that some people might still be confused. Is it different than anything around couponing and just discounts, right? So we're not talking only about this, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So couponing and discounts, those types of programs, they tend to be very much like a newspaper, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you clip your coupon, you take it to the vendor, and it's a one-off transaction, maybe two if you're lucky. But unless you have a specific way of tracking those coupons and deals and who's redeeming them, or using them, then you're not really learning a lot about your customer. And so it's really great to have the ability to offer deals and coupons if you choose, but that shouldn't be necessarily the only reason why a customer supports your business.
Okay.
Yes. So loyalty marketing helps to share more information about how your business started, to increase the trust value with your customer, how it started, what your products are, those types of things.
Okay. Okay. So technically, we're talking more about customer engagement as well, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Now, you still want to thank your customers for supporting your business,
Yes.
but yes, engagement is
Okay.
key.
Okay. Okay. So, when we were preparing for this session, you shared with me some interesting information, and I think it's important to share it as well with our audience. So when we look at the statistics, we understand that loyalty marketing is creating, as this title is saying, a positive momentum, right? So how can you explain these numbers to our audience?
Well, these are some key numbers that I refer to on a regular basis. They're created by a company called Bond Brand Loyalty,
Mm-hmm.
and they do the largest polling of consumers in the world, really, but they issue different reports for different countries around the influence of loyalty and usage of it amongst different age groups. But these are very key because it's things that consumers are saying about every rewards program when they're discussing it. So 68% of people say that they're more likely to recommend a business or a brand with a good loyalty program. 79% of people say that they continue to do business with a brand or a business that has a good loyalty program. And 65% say that they modify how much they spend. They're motivated to spend more in order to maximize the benefits of their loyalty program. So I think those are very strong indicators from consumers themselves about the engagement with loyalty programs of all types.
Okay. So I think this is an interesting approach. Like 65% are willing to spend more, right? Now the question is how much more, but still it's more than what they were anyway doing with our brand or with any brand that they are interacting with. Uh, do you have some just insights, like you say, like these 65% tend to spend 10% more, 50% more, or 2% more? Do you have, just out of experience, do you have something in mind that you can share?
Well, let's talk something that's close to us here in Atlantic Canada,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So let's use PC Optimum, for example. Okay.
Okay.
So I know that there are a lot of people who have a PC Optimum points card in their wallet. And I wonder how many people out there switched from the gas they were buying at another station. Perhaps it was Irving or Shell or one of those. I wonder how many of them switched to Esso brand when that came on board with PC Optimum. I would be willing to bet there were quite a few.
Okay.
Now, how I could attach a dollar to that, I don't know, but I would be willing to bet that 50% of the cardholders, well, let's be conservative and say 35% of cardholders switched their gas purchases.
I
In
would tend
Nor-
to agree with you. I would tend to definitely agree with you because there is a huge impact, right, on the loyalty program and the spending habits and the loyalty to brands, right?
Exactly, exactly. And the same thing in air miles, it happens there as well.
Okay.
So if you're going through the grocery store at Sobeys and you see a particular, yes, that's right, actually, RBC and Petrocan, they've really linked theirs up, right? So um, that was really smart on their part, trying to reclaim some of that business. But just say you're going through Sobeys with your Air Miles card and
Mm-hmm.
you see a really great Air Miles offer on something that you weren't necessarily planning to buy. Let's say kitty litter, right? Let's
Yes.
say something like that. Um, Say I don't need to purchase it for at least 2 more weeks, but there's a really great deal on Air Miles today, so I'm going to buy it today instead.
Okay.
And that's some of the motivating factors, right?
Yes, of course. So, now that we're talking about the benefits, and I think that we're talking about big brands, let's bring it back to our audience and what we're talking about. We're talking more about small business, we're talking about family owned. How do you think or my question would be, should they be scared from a loyalty marketing program by saying, oh, it's too expensive, too complex, I cannot do it? Or what can you really recommend for this kind of small businesses to embrace this technology or programs to boost their business?
Well, that's a lot of questions. So
Don't worry, we have an hour to talk about it,
yes,
so
I
go
know, I
ahead.
know, I know. So as far as locally owned businesses and the expense that goes with that, um, in most businesses, there is always a marketing expense or an advertising expense. Sometimes they're different, right? Um, in what they do. So if you consider for a minute that you could buy a billboard campaign for, say, $4,000, right? And maybe it's for 6 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever the case may be. So you're going to um, collect or you're going to achieve some sales from that maybe. Like many advertising campaigns, unless you track
Mhm.
why someone is coming in and spending money with your business, then you'll never know how many customers saw that billboard. You don't know what percentage of customers who see the billboard actually come to your business. And all of that, if a $5,000 campaign gets you one customer, that's the cost of new customer acquisition, quite high.
Of course.
Whereas if you're actually getting the customer's information and you are able to communicate with them more directly and learn more about them, for example, how much they spend, how often they shop, and when their birthdays are, so you can recognize special days. All of these things that will elevate your standing in their minds. So every time that you communicate with your customer directly, then you get to increase the trust value.
Yes.
And in recent months, that's become significantly more important when customers aren't in the store.
Of course.
And the same if you've come online, right? So, absolutely.
Yeah, it's becoming a real need, I would say, given the pandemic and what this COVID-19 crisis pushed us to do as businesses. Just to add to that, and maybe I will just ask a question that is more a rhetorical question, is that on our first webinar, I had Shahzad Gidwani with me, who was the Chief Marketing Officer of SIMO. And actually, the main discussion was the difference between the impact of digital marketing on traditional marketing, now that you have mentioned billboards. So the question is that, aren't they complementary?
They can be, absolutely. Same with radio and newspaper and even social media.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So yes, they can absolutely be complementary. If you're going to do a billboard campaign, then you need to mention your loyalty program.
Yes,
right?
Of course.
But also, if you're doing your billboard campaign, you want to make sure that you're enrolling the new customers that you get for your loyalty marketing, so that you're not paying to acquire those same customers all over again.
Yes.
Right? Of course. And the same with radio, the same with newspaper, magazines, online travel agencies, online delivery systems for restaurants and travel, like hotels and that sort of thing. Absolutely. Every opportunity you have when you have a new customer coming through your door, get them into your loyalty program, and then you have that ability to build trust and communication directly.
Of course. And here we have on the chat, actually Shahzad is on the chat, and he has an experience in the luxury goods, and he's saying that actually in the luxury industry, this loyalty marketing is really working a lot, and it's really pushing lots of positive sales because of loyalty and getting this kind of customer engagement through a program that has value, right? Yes. So now the question is, I touch about a word that is interesting, value. And this is my experience. Sometimes, like, for example, I will just give you an example. I will not name brands, but I go to my barber here, I cut my hair, they have a loyalty program. And then they tell me every 10 times you will get one free cut. So theoretically, if I am a very good customer, I would go to them once a month. So theoretically, I will see my freebie in a year's time, which is so down the road, right? So where is the value in it? Am I still going there because of the loyalty program, or I am just going there because I am used to them?
Well, in that particular case, I would say it's because you're used to them, or you may have gone there the first time, received this, and now you're not going to go back to your regular barber because you have this loyalty card, so you're going to support them instead, knowing that down the road you will receive a reward. Although I have to say that the earn and burn principle is becoming more prevalent. So consumers want to see their rewards much faster.
Yes. This is what I'm trying to say. We need to show the value. The immediacy of the value is becoming more and more important, right? Historically, we were trying to keep a customer as long as possible to come back to us to increase foot traffic. But today, I think with the digital competition, and now that all brands are in front of us in a faster way, easier way, and better access, I think the immediacy of the reward is becoming, or the value actually is becoming, an important factor. Don't you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why PC Optimum reduced their redemption point from $20 to $10.
Yes, exactly.
That was, I think, when they switched over from PC Points to PC Optimum, they reduced that redemption point because they recognized this. Loblaws recognized that people wanted to be able to redeem faster.
Of course,
and
this is, I think this is the digital era that spoiled us a little bit, where big brands are giving us access to immediate products, right? Like you purchase something online, you can get it delivered in less than 48 hours.
Yeah.
If it is a software, you have access to it right now in the next minute. So our expectations as a consumer change completely in terms of access to services and hence to the loyalty programs that are related to the services and to the products.
Yes, absolutely.
So now talking about this, and then I see Generation Z, younger millennials. Of course, generations have different response, right, to the or expectations as well towards loyalty or brand interaction and engagement. And this is also one additional piece of information. Can you just talk a little bit about the how personal we can get with the customer?
Well, that's a really good question. So let's start with a very basic type of loyalty program, which is a stamp card, right?
Yes.
So those types of loyalty programs um, are getting less and less uptick because there's no personalization that's involved with that. Which is part of what you see in that first statistic. So only 11% of consumers are very satisfied with the level of personalization that they're receiving from the loyalty programs to which they belong. And there's various reasons for that. Sometimes, especially with air miles and like CAA and a few other coalition programs like that, the businesses inside those programs don't actually have access to personalized offers or communications. They can only do it through those coalition programs, right? But the other part is that the younger people are, first of all, they're more tech savvy. They're also much more willing to share information. But they're also looking for some other things like social responsibility within their programs as well. So they want to learn more about the companies from whom they're buying products or from which they're buying products.
Okay.
And know what those companies stand for. Those brand values are becoming more important. And also you'll notice that the older people are in this graph or in this pie chart,
yes,
the less they become involved. So the older people are, the more they want that physical card. And the younger they are, they don't really want a card at all. They just want to use their phones.
Yes.
And that's where they do everything. They shop there, they collect their rewards that way, and everything. And so there's all points in between. Now, I'd just like to point out for a quick second here that as our economy begins to grow back to, or at least close to, what previous levels were, that's going to happen in the reverse order to what we're seeing there. So it's going to be the younger people who are out in the world first. Mm-hmm. And then the older people will be the last ones out in the world.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You know also what is striking to me as well in terms of numbers is that the baby boomers and the silent generation is still has still a significant portion of them who are looking for this loyalty marketing, like 73% and 69% of a segment is significant.
It is significant.
It's not like, we're not talking about 10% or like the 11% of satisfaction rate. So I am really positively surprised that even the silent generation is still very active towards the loyalty marketing impact, at least on them, right?
Exactly. And again, that comes a lot from the frugality of growing up, during wartime when things weren't as available as they are now.
It's a good point, yeah.
And they were much more expensive.
Yes, this is a very valid point, Maria. Yes, I agree with you. So, you know, when we look at the whole market, then we see between the Generation Z and the silent generation, if you want to average it, we see it's around 80%, right, of the consumers who are uh, giving this permission-based loyalty marketing, right, and getting involved and engaged with their brands. You know, just to give you an idea, one of you know, without naming brands a lot, we have an international brand in the US that are doing t-shirts, and technically they are involving their customers. So the customers are sending to the business what kind of words or images they need to put on the t-shirt, and then there is a committee that is going to take this and just make it align, just like mass production.
Oh,
So theoretically, the consumer is contributing to the success of the brand, right? They are not only the ambassadors, but they are now the creative directors, they are now the product managers, just through the
exactly.
loyalty they have to this brand and the willingness to give them a contribution of their knowledge or time, right? And this is so powerful.
Exactly. And that, although the average there is around 80%, the statistics point to 68% overall of people who say that they're more likely to recommend a brand with a good loyalty program.
Amazing.
So that's one of the ways to take advantage of your loyalty program, is to encourage people to recommend your business
Okay.
and reward them for doing that.
So now that if I was a listener, so we have now viewers who are watching us live on Zoom and on Facebook, and if they are business owners, and most of them would be, or are entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs who are looking for startups and this kind of ideas. So now that I am all excited about loyalty marketing, and I want to have it now, right? Because I think I need to have it even before my product, right? So the question is, what it really takes for me as a business. Is it expensive? Can you just talk to us a little bit about some options? I know that you have lots of experience in this. You are offering a loyalty marketing program in Atlantic Canada. So what can you just tell us? You know, these few small tips that every single person is looking for. They are looking at, am I going to spend $100,000? Am I going to need an IT director? I need 10 employees to manage it. So just comfort me, please.
I've heard all of those questions before. Absolutely. So the good news is that it's no longer a six-figure sort of investment, unless you want some very deep personalization, very much like, you know, PC Optimum or the giant companies, right?
Mhm.
And at that point, you can expect, you know, an investment of that nature, right? And we're happy to help with that as well.
Yeah.
But that's not the size of business that I'm encouraging in this area. And to be perfectly honest, it isn't the cost of a billboard either for 5 weeks at $5,000. It's not that either. So right now, through my program, you could put, you know, a pretty significant, powerful product in place for about $3,000. And this is a one-time investment, you have to remember. So this is something that you begin and build over months and years through communication. So you start off with a very simple to use email platform and a module that will help you to enroll customers and track sales and all of that. Super easy, even for, you know, an owner operated business, because that's what we were designed for in this particular entry level.
Mhm.
And I mean, you can certainly assign a marketing agency if you grow big enough for that and you feel you don't want to do that anymore. But you want to continue your loyalty program. So you can sign it off to an agency. If you want to switch agencies, you just move it around, and it's very easy. However, there are also some very inexpensive, like stamp card programs that you can get for mobile, or you can go to Vistaprint and quickly design up a stamp card there if you want to.
Yeah.
But with that stamp card, you're not going to be collecting the data that you need to make really strong business decisions. You're not going to have the demographics of your customer base. You're not going to know when their birthdays are, or how much they spend, or how often they shop, so that you can motivate how much they spend, or how often they shop, or how many items are in their basket. And those are the things that are significantly important for business owners to know.
Okay.
And I strongly believe that many business owners don't know, because most of the businesses I go into don't ask me for my information.
Yeah. So this is a very important point, because we're talking about going digital in 2021, right? And we're talking about the opportunities and the challenges. So probably the loyalty marketing platforms or solutions eliminated many of the challenges, right? So we don't need anymore an IT department to handle it. We don't need lots of financing. We don't need a huge expertise in running the program. However, it's opening a huge door for opportunities, right? Which is
Yes.
to know the customer better, collect data, be able to use this data and exploit it to our advantage in a way of serving better the customer, right? It's not, I want just to make sure that the audience is aware that we're not talking about taking the data and selling it. It's not about
No.
that. It's about us making better decisions to serve a personalized approach and engagement to our customer, right?
Yes, exactly. And saying thank you. Thank you for shopping with me.
Okay. Yes. Actually, sometimes we forget to say simple words, right? We're just into a very hectic world, right? And I think this pandemic, which pushed us to self isolate for a long time, we became antisocial a little bit. Sometimes we need to learn again how to be in a social environment, even in a relationship of customer or a customer relationship, right? And this is very important. So now let's go back. I want just to talk as well a little bit about technicalities. I think this is what the audience is really looking for. So let's say I have a loyalty marketing. Can we build just like one example, hypothetical example from start to finish, like what I need to think about, what I will be doing, and at the end of the day, what I will be getting me as a business, and then what would my customer get, as a concrete example?
Okay. So the first thing that you would want to consider is whether or not you've already started an email database. So whether or not you've actually done anything with it. If it's been quietly collecting information for years from your website, and just take it out, dust it off, and with our program, that would be a great place to start, right? Or you can start from zero. And every single customer, just think about when you go to the grocery store, or when you go to Petrocan or to Canadian Tire, oh, do you have your PC Optimum card? Do you have your PetroPoints card? Oh, have you enrolled for our loyalty program yet? We have some really great information to share with you, and we'll make sure that it's worth your while, right?
Yeah.
Just fill out this little bit of information and we'll get you started. We'll start with your purchase today, right?
Yes.
And it's very much like whenever you go to any of those stores, they always ask you. In retail, we call that what do they call it? It's a sales standard. Um, oh, I can't
Okay,
remember now, but
it's okay. It will come back to you. It will.
I'm sure it will, like tomorrow.
No worries.
A non-negotiable sales standard. Sorry, that's
Oh,
what it's
okay.
called.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's one of the things that employees must do. So with every transaction. So I remember, oh, I'm going to date myself here. When I was a teenager, I worked at Kmart.
Okay.
So we were required to say, thank you for shopping at Kmart. No, that was the end of the transaction,
Uh-huh.
always. And that's one of those non-negotiable sales standards. So, but anyway, so you record the sale for the customer and of course thank them for the purchase and off they go. And um, a, a day later or later that day, they get a thank you for enrolling in our program. We look forward to seeing you again, and just end it there, right? And then with your regular communications, so you would establish whatever cadence or frequency of communications that you want to have for your customers. I usually recommend, well, it depends on the business sector. Many grocery retailers do a weekly flyer or a bi-weekly flyer. Sometimes they need to communicate more often. I think once a month is best for most businesses.
Sorry, Maria, let me just ask you a question here, just to
Yep.
clarify a point. So when we say they need to do a flyer or they need to do an offer, right? I want to again try to talk to the wider audience, assuming that it is an owner operator or a small business. Maybe they don't have a marketing department, right?
Oh, yeah.
So they can outsource this kind of services to you or to someone else, to a consultant, to a freelancer, or like in a way, if they cannot do it, it's tough luck and that's it.
Oh, no. That was an example of some of the stores that are out there who maybe have some technical expertise in doing graphic design or that sort of thing. You can outsource it if you like. Some of my customers do that. Okay. And it's just easier for them because they're busy growing their business on another side. So it's important to recognize where your strengths are, right? And where your time is most valuably spent. So, but there's no need to assume that you need to have a flyer or something like that to share. What I would suggest is a monthly email that might focus on a particular either a single product or a single section of your store's inventory that is similar, right? Okay. So if it's like an outdoor store, for example, you might want to look at different types of tents, for example, or you might want to look at this time of year on skates or soccer equipment for the spring, or something of that nature, and just think about what consumers are thinking about, what they're looking for at the moment based on the season and what you have to offer.
Yes.
And let them know ahead of their decision-making process that you have the product and you'd appreciate their business.
Yes. I think this is very important. And even I can add to that you mentioned like email campaigns, and it could be monthly or let's say periodically, right? It depends on the nature of the business. Sure. You might need to communicate on a daily basis, or you need to communicate on a weekly, monthly, or quarterly. It doesn't matter. But I always want to add that if we can, because I always look at the digital marketing strategy, and email campaign, marketing campaign is one aspect of it, is that how we can have a comprehensive campaign as well to add it to social media and to increase the awareness about it, right? Because I see lots of big brands who are very active into social media also to start creating the awareness about the loyalty program, because it seems that it works, right? I am always, surprised that I think that as a consumer, right, not as a marketing expert,
Mhm.
right, as a consumer, I would always tend to say, but if they are trying to help me to get something for free, so it costs them money, they should be silent about it. The employee should not remind me to get my reward, because technically it's costing the business money. But as marketers, we understand that the fraction of the cost is generating a much higher revenue number, right? And this is the dynamics between investing in your business, having some cost, but then this association of the cost that is really bringing a revenue stream that is much higher than the traditional revenue stream, right?
Yes, exactly.
So we shouldn't look at it from a debit credit
No.
perspective, or I cannot spend anymore, I don't want to spend, and then the opportunity cost is so high, right?
Yes. So I always try to talk about the Pareto Principle, right?
Uh-huh.
So 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customers, right? So if you can communicate effectively to those 20% and increase that number, say if you're able to double the number of people who are spending that amount of money amongst your customer base,
Mm-hmm.
then if you look at your customer base, you're going to be increasing your sales exponentially as well,
Yes.
right? But the 2080 principle never stops. It just continues to get distributed, to a bigger quantity of
Yes,
people.
exactly, exactly.
Yes, yeah.
So it's universal law, right? So now it's like everything you say, you take it to the 80/20 law or rule, and then you will not get very far from reality, right? And this is what I want to say, that people shouldn't be afraid of taking this opportunity to have a loyalty marketing campaign, or even to have any kind of loyalty campaign, or just having what I want to call customer engagement,
Mhm.
right? And this is the most important thing. I will just give you an example of once I was here at IKEA, and I have the IKEA family card, but when I went to the food court, I didn't know that this card can give me my free coffee that costs just $1, right? And then it was the cashier or the employee who told me, "Listen, you have the card." I say, "Yeah, why?" I said, "You will get free coffee." I said, seriously, I like it was a delight. This is what I call a
Surprise and
customer
delight.
delight, surprise. Like, oh, really? Like, it's not because of the $1, but it's just about, oh, I didn't know, and now I know. And now what happens is that now I make it on purpose. Every time I'm there, I'm showing them the card and I want my free coffee now, which probably
Exactly.
I never got it for 2 years, but I just now started to say I want it. That's really amazing, right? As a consumer behavior,
Yes,
how it changes
exactly.
it.
Yeah, and I mean, you should encourage your employees, if you have a deal that applies to the customer who's in front of you, whether it's online or here, like in person, then you want to make sure that that customer is getting the deal, even if they don't know about it,
Mhm.
because they will talk about that.
Yes.
They'll talk about it to their friends, their family, their neighbors, their coworkers. However, if you don't tell them about it and they find out about it later, if they say, "Oh, I was to IKEA and I got a coffee," and your friend says, "Oh, do you have one of the family cards?" And you say, "Yes." Well, you should have got that coffee for free.
Yeah,
Now that changes the whole experience, right?
that's
To
true.
a negative one instead of a positive one.
Yes. Yes.
And so if you're offering a loyalty program, you need to be proud of it and have as many people offered it as possible.
Of course, a question came to my mind, and I think this is one of the things that everyone is like not liking anymore. We all have a collection of cards, of physical cards, of either loyalty programs, debit cards, credit cards, information cards, whatever you want to call them, access cards. I have a bunch, right? The problem is when I leave home or I leave my car, most of the time the card is not with me. Uh, there are some applications, people who are into smartphones, they can definitely load all this. So how, you as an expert, how would you recommend a business person to handle their loyalty cards, and how to encourage their customers not to be afraid from subscribing? Because most of the time someone tell me, do you want to subscribe? At some point I just think, oh my God, another physical card, I don't want it. So I say no. So
Mm-hmm.
what are the small tips which you can give so that we overcome this challenge?
That's a really great question, Mark. Thanks for asking that. So um, I'm the same way. I mean, I love loyalty programs, and so I'm always interested to see what people are doing, right? So I do enroll for quite a few, but I don't always use them. And realistically, most consumers carry about 13 cards in their wallet, but they only actually use 8. So 5 of them are hardly ever used, right? So there are 3 things that I recommend a business owner look to have for their program. So first of all, make sure that there is a digital opportunity for a customer as well as a physical card. So that if the consumer says, oh, I don't need a card, just say, oh, that's all right. Just sign into the app on your phone and just show that when you come, right? Okay. And people will also say, well, I don't want to, register for another app either. And
because I already have 15 other apps.
I know, right? Yeah. So, but part of that as well is to make sure that it's a seamless transaction. So if your consumer or if your customer is shopping online, they can use the same rewards at your store as they can if they're shopping in person. So believe it or not, that's a thing, right?
Okay.
And so your e-commerce site needs to be able to tie in to your loyalty program. And the other part is that if your customer can collect rewards at more than just your location, then that's going to increase the frequency of their redemption limit reach, right? So they'll be able to collect their rewards faster and redeem them faster if they're able to collect from more than one either location for an individual business or as a group, right?
So you recommend that we enter or we join a group of loyalty marketing programs rather than talking about having, I would say, a brand ego, even as a small business. Say, oh no, it's my brand, I want to be standalone, and then it will take me probably 10 years to have a database or access to 100,000 customers. Whereas if I join a group, I will be able to get this 100,000 potential customers in probably
Right away.
6 months.
Yeah, exactly. Or sooner. And when you think about it, all that it really does is to digitize a business association.
Yes.
Or a mall.
Yes.
Right? That's all it's doing. And so putting it all under one roof can help to make it easier and bring more value to the customers as well.
Very good. Just Maria, we have a question from KJ on Facebook. Mm-hmm. KJ is an old colleague of mine, and believe it or not, he's now in Myanmar. So he's in East Asia. His question is about the association of the mobile number and the email with the loyalty card. Is this going to help us at some point just not to carry any card, and then when we enter the store, they can ask us about either our email or phone number, and they will find it in the system, and that's it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So KJ, you heard from the expert. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really great question. And it's important that the program be able to be flexible right?
Yes.
So to look up mobile numbers or to look up email addresses, that sort of thing. So, and you know, when you talk about a coalition program, it's also important to have multiple points of comparison so people aren't registering more than once.
Yes, yes, of
Yeah.
course, yes, yes. Because we sometimes we see it that we are registered in maybe in different at different times, and they didn't clean up the database, and then it becomes a nightmare, right? When you are standing at the cashier, they cannot find your phone number, they cannot find your email, they will go into a different system. It happened to us here in a store. I wouldn't name the store. Here in a store in Halifax, a good store, a luxury store, and they changed database, and then they couldn't find us anymore, and then we
Oh,
had to spend another 15 minutes, and then the lady, she had to take notes on a piece of paper, and then I will call you back. I was, oh my god, it was like a disaster of a customer experience,
oh
right?
dear.
So we need to be very careful at some point to, you know. And also last week I had Sergio Frias with me, who is a customer experience expert, and we were talking about the digital customer experience, and how we need to handle this with care, right? Because it's so hard to bring a customer on board, but god, how easy it is to let them go away, right?
Yes, very easy. Absolutely. So, and that goes back to, you know, making sure that they're feeling welcome and making it as easy as possible.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So KJ is asking one more question, and he promised that it will be his last question. He's saying, for exclusive programs, like if I don't want to join a group of programs, what are the pros and cons of being exclusive?
Oh, well, I can speak from personal experience. So part of the cons is that it takes an incredible amount of time to figure out what your offers are going to be that meet the point of customers' expectations and your willingness to lose profit, right? So, and how long it's going to take them to collect in order to reach that redemption point.
Yeah.
And so it takes a lot of consideration and calculations and all of that to reach that equitable point
Yeah.
that makes it worthwhile for the consumer to carry another card in their wallet, right?
Of course, yeah.
And then, I mean, apart from that, the exclusivity means that you are very protective of the customer's data, right? That you're not sharing it with anyone else,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. You're also not getting that share factor from other businesses, so that you can increase your own customer acquisition rate.
Okay.
So I recommend Coalition simply because it can do that. It can help you to grow your customer base faster, and you can add value to your customers at many different places, all the places that they shop.
You know, I would add one thing, Maria, probably for the exclusive programs, they would need a much bigger investment in terms of communication, because in a way you need to do an impact, and then you need to communicate about it, and it will be harder for you, so you need to spend more marketing money, right, towards information, you know, information cards, or even doing the traditional marketing like radio, TV, billboard promotions, or online marketing, social media push, and Google ads, and this kind of stuff. So I believe when we are standalone, we need to be able to provide a superior value proposition to the customer base. We should be, or we should have this opportunity to reach a wider audience and capability. And with capability, I talk money,
Money,
right?
exactly. Yes. Much,
Otherwise,
much
it's
bigger
better to join
investment.
a coalition because it's faster, cheaper. And then at some point, I recommend for any business that they can start with a coalition, and then they can break away when they feel that they are big enough and solid enough and have the expertise enough to just say, you know, now I am flying on my own, right? And now I have my own brand, I have my own brand identity, my customer base, customer loyalty as well. So it could be a good start, and then the ones who are really able to succeed, they can later have their own loyalty, right?
Yes, or they can grow with our company as well.
Yeah.
So we do offer everything to their own fully branded apps. So we could do a full on loyalty program for the Halifax Mooseheads if we wanted to.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, yeah, it's very nice, very nice. So that's part of what I like about the program as well, is that we try to grow businesses, and then if we succeed, and we often succeed, then they can advance to different levels.
Yes.
But yes, as far as cost, the exclusivity factor is often 50 to 100 times more expensive.
Yes, I totally agree. You know, Maria, unfortunately, I have to take care of the time. I think, you
Ah,
know, it was just time, it was flying, right?
I
I
know.
didn't just realize that we almost spent 1 hour together. So uh, I know that every discussion has to reach to an end, and I want to ask you, what kind of final or last recommendation you can give to our audience um, about loyalty marketing, and if they need something, how they can reach out to you, or definitely they can reach out to me, and then through me I will connect them with you. So there is, this is a given. But what are the last few words you want to tell the audience about loyalty marketing and about how you can help as well?
Well, the first thing I'd like to say is thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it. And I would recommend that for any small to medium sized businesses who aren't looking at ways to increase their profitability by clawing back some of the percentages from the online delivery and travel agencies, that sort of thing. Loyalty marketing is one way that can really help to effectively build profitability and build your business. So it's definitely worth a look. And I'm happy to provide a personal demonstration for businesses. I know they are often very private and like to ask their own individual questions. And I, as you know, recommend a coalition program called Cashback World, which is global. So if you have an e-commerce site, then we can help to market you currently into 51 countries. And that includes starting nationally in Canada and then throughout North and South America, and of course into a big concentration in Europe. So we also have a footprint in Asia, which is becoming a bigger market in this Atlantic Canada region as well. So happy to have that conversation and show you how easy it is, how affordable it is, and what great partners we are. The focus is definitely there. You can see the sun coming in my window there. Sorry about that, everyone.
It's okay, no worries, no worries.
And here are some key things to look for within a really good loyalty program. It's mobile and tech savvy. Turn that a little bit. That you are getting your own customer relationship management piece along with statistics about your customers. That it's affordable. So make sure that it's able to expand at the rate that you are.
Okay.
And that it works both online and offline. So you can attach your e-commerce program, but also use the same card in store. That it's scalable with you when you're growing. That it's easy to use for yourself, for your employees. That it has a fast redemption point. That it's simple to launch, and that it's a coalition program so that customers are more apt to enroll in your loyalty program.
Very good, very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maria, for these extremely helpful tips and recommendations. And thank you so much for being my guest today. I really enjoyed the discussion. I always enjoy all the discussions I have with my guests. I cannot say I have a preferred one, to be honest, but they are so rich, so, how to say, coming from an experience. And this is what we're trying to convey to our audience. We're trying to give real life experience about the digital challenges and opportunities. So, all what I have to say for our audience, a big thank you as well from all over the world. You know, I can tell you just, Maria, on the first webinar, we got audience from 7 different countries. Today, we have from 3 different countries. Last week, we had from 4 different countries. So we have also an international reach, which is amazing.
It is. And being able to work in all those countries, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I just want to remind our audience that we are having a live webinar every week, every Wednesday, at 12 p.m. Atlantic time, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Our lineup for March is already on the website, on our website, on mystrategyhub.com, or on our social network. Please check. We are going to have a great audience or lineup for February, and March will be announced next week. So we already have a full lineup for March as well. So I am so happy that we're getting all these webinars already booked until March and even April. So we are really thanking everybody who is supporting us. So Maria, thank you so much today. And I hope that you will be succeeding even more and more in what you're doing. I know that you are already a success story here in our market. I wish you all the best. And I am sure that this will not be our last discussion. So we're going to have many other discussions together. So I want to thank everyone. Have a great day. And I hope to see you again on our future webinars every Wednesday. Thank you, and bye for now.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure.
Same here.